Cullen goes live in 5 minutes. Lynn Cullen goes live in 4 minutes. Lynn Cullen goes live in 3 minutes. Lynn Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there. Don't know if anybody's out there getting a late start today, about an hour later than usual. I still got my band on from the hospital. I've still got things on. I raced over here, jumped out of an MRI and came rushing here. So if I feel a little discombobulated. Anyway, hi, how you doing? It's a Monday. I had to be here today because I'm leaving you on Wednesday. I'm going off to California for a week. And if I'm only going to do 2 shows this week, I'm going to do 2 shows this week. So here I am. I don't know if anybody is there since this is not our regular hour to be live. Geez. Where to start? Marco Rubio's meltdown? Did you see that? Did you see it? It was beyond belief. I heard people trying to say, is this akin to Howard Dean's Scream, so you're done? Or is it akin to, this is before your time, Ed Muskie, the senator, crying on the steps in New Hampshire, which doomed him because men couldn't cry back then. Is it akin to... whatever. Is it a disqualifier? It was that bad if you missed it. I mean, it's even hard to explain. Chris Christie. Gotta hand it to him. He savaged him. I mean, he ate him up and spit him out. Rubio looked exactly, he was unmasked as being the not ready, wet behind the ears kid, just repeating his talking points. It was unbelievable. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you got to go see it because, whatever. I mean, that debate, what was that, Saturday night? That was unbelievable, but even more unbelievable was the effed up start of that debate. Have you seen that? Because that's a good giggle. That's a laugh, and that's on whoever was doing the debate. Who was that? ABC. If you haven't seen it, please Google that, look it up. There's no way to describe it. It was. They were introducing each candidate to take the stage. And I'm not sure what happened. They're waiting in a little tunnel to come out, a little hallway. And so you see them before they come. And then they're saying that it's, what's his name? How quickly we forget when they're going down. The surgeon. And Ben Carson. And he just stands there. He doesn't move because apparently he doesn't hear his name. So he just keeps standing there. Nobody comes. And then somebody elbows past him. I can't remember which one it was. Because they went on to the next name, even though Carson never showed up. Then somebody else came out in the wrong order, and then Trump ends up standing with Carson because he doesn't hear his name. And then Bush goes around both of them and shrugs. I don't know what's going on. They get out there, and there's still 2 empty. There's 3 empty. They forget to introduce Kasich. They don't. Trump is not there. Carson's not there, and they actually start to say, and here are you cannot imagine what a messed up. It was wonderful. It was some of the best live TV I've seen in a long time. Oh, Ray's telling me some of us are out here. That's good to know, Ray. Thank you. At least you are. Well, that means I have an intelligent, informed audience. Exactly what I want to have. I also have Yeah, so I don't know who choked more, Rubio or Cam Newton. What a boring game that was. Oh, ick. And I'm sorry, can't talk about it. Thought the commercials were nothing in particular, and I'm sick of the whole thing. I ended up really sort of not even watching after a while. I didn't care. So, what do we talk about? I want to back up because I've got some good emails that I didn't get to share with you. Some of these are responding to whatever it was we were talking about Friday, and it will become quickly apparent that that's what it is. Mike from Philly writes, he writes to disagree with me about the Wilkinsburg police dog thing. By the way, it's now been learned that no police officer was slashed with a knife in the course of that, because that was one of the things they were saying, that one of the Port Authority cops had his hand slashed. No, he didn't. Okay? And that comes from the police themselves. No, he didn't. So how that stuff gets out there, I don't know. And also we were talking about the Humane Society, the executive director. There's a full-fledged revolution over there. She tossed out a bunch of highly respected people. Others then quit. And then it was found out that she actually got a dog, paid $1,000 for a purebred, when her whole job is about telling people not to do that. And here's what. Oh, David's there and Bill's there. Thank you. Okay, Mike writes, I almost always agree with you, but I have to disagree with you here. First off, the Philadelphia police chief once stated that criminals are more afraid of dogs and tasers because they know police will use them. And they do. I have many friends and family who are police. They risk their lives every day. Are there some bad apples? Absolutely. But I was always taught to do whatever the police tell me to do. Me too. Always. Me too. The blame for me in this case goes to the criminal. He has 10 cops screaming at him. He's not following their orders. He has a knife. Once you don't obey. See, but that's not, it shouldn't be a fatal. I'm sorry. You shouldn't end up dead. He had committed no major crime. Not anything that would get the death penalty. And if you sick a dog on him, he's going to protect himself. The guys who sicked the dog on him knew they were sending the dog into a knife. The cops killed the dog, essentially. I'm sorry. I'm not backing off on this one. This to me is disgusting. Once you don't obey the police, Mike says, and you have a weapon, I say what happens after that is on you, not the cop. No. No. Mm-mm. Here's why. Apparently this guy had mental issues too. Lots of times a mentally ill person is confused, can't. I mean, yeah, us rational beings, of course, we know you do what the cop tells you. You fight about it later if that's and I know the ACLU tells everybody, do what they say. We'll deal with it later. But there are people who are bewildered, who are frightened, who aren't rational, who have mental issues. And, cops have killed naked men with no weapons who won't obey them. This is it's insane. If you're a mentally ill black man, watch out. Because if you have an encounter with the cops, you could well end up dead because you won't necessarily obey everything they say to do. I'm sure, black parents have this conversation with their kids all the time, especially their sons. Do what they tell you. Don't give them attitude. Don't give them lip, because you could end up easily dead. It ain't worth it to be dead. I had to have that. You have that conversation no matter what color you are with your kids. But if your kid is black or brown, as mine is, it's a much more fraught conversation. Okay, so Mike and I are going to agree to disagree on that one. And he goes on, as far as the woman who runs the Humane Society, she's an asshole. Okay. What she did is inexcusable. I'm a volunteer for a dog rescue nonprofit, and I see the abuse of animals on a weekly basis. I see the horrors of breeders and puppy mills. The place I work for is a no-kill shelter, but there are many kill shelters in Philly who do it every day because people shop and not adopt. It's a crisis here. Her, the head of the Humane Society, buying a dog means there's one more dog that'll die that day because it is unwanted. I wish all my friends who buy their dogs would get that through their heads too. It's like Ronald McDonald eating every night at Burger King. I mean, you cannot promote adoption and then not do it yourself. Right. Anyway, she's resigned. She's gone. It's over. And Roger writes about the Super Bowl, or the past of the Super Bowl. How many times in every post-game interview did Peyton Manning say he was going to hug his wife and kids and then drink lots of Bud? I didn't see it because I didn't last till the end. But I happened to, while I was sitting in the waiting room at the hospital this morning, I happened to see Peyton Manning on the CBS morning show. And he said the same thing he must have said twice during that interview, that he drank a lot of Buds. And I thought, oh, come on. Hey, man, they're paying him a bundle, obviously, and he's giving them their money's worth. Like he needs more money. NFL players, says Roger, can't smoke pot to deal with physical pain, but it's okay to be a Bud slut. And let all your fans know you're going to indulge. Sort of like the outrage over Janet Jackson's costume malfunction, but little kids watching Viagra commercials, that's fine. All right, I hear you. I'm agreeing. And I appreciate all you are telling me you're out there. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, the funniest thing I read over the weekend was the fact that let me get his title right, professor of neurology, did you see this, at George Washington University, he wanted to find out why he had a visceral reaction. And since visceral reactions have to do perhaps with our wiring and neurology, he thought he could test it. He was having himself a visceral reaction to Ted Cruz. And he said that when he saw him, he just couldn't stand him. I mean, on sight, couldn't stand him. I have the same wiring. I had the same wiring. I look at him and I recoil. We've talked about this. This is before even knowing what his politics are, anything. You just recoil. And then we come to know that throughout his life, everybody has recoiled. Now, some not immediately, but they learn to hate him. I mean, this guy is not liked. We've come to know that. It's a mantra. But this neurologist said, why do so many people dislike him, like instinctively? You know, instinct is there for a reason. It helps us survive. So if so many people are reacting to just that, the physical sense of him as, oh my God, that it could be that we're onto something if there's that many people doing it. But he's a neurologist. He's a scientist. And so he said, I had to know why looking at him made me feel so, well, the nicest way to say it is uneasy. So he really tried to figure it out. So he starts looking at the face. And he says, you know, Cruz's face, what? Cruz's face is off-putting. It's off-putting because it does not act. It doesn't respond as a normal face does. And he looked at enough pictures and videos of him to see that. Here's what he says. I love this kind of crap. I have rarely, if ever, seen a conventional smile on his face. A conventional, a natural smile, you know what? The corners of the mouth go up. Now, these muscles we can control voluntarily. So, you know, you can, nothing's funny, but I'm going to smile. That's a fake smile, but I can make it happen. The neurologist says, though, but the muscles circling the eyes are involuntary as they make, you know, crow's feet and as your eyes smile. So what he says is his eyes don't smile, and his mouth really doesn't go up. It tightens into a straight line, and if it moves at all, it tends to bend down. So it could be that, you know, instinctively looking at him, we know something's off. Did you see any pictures of him smiling there? Kinda, sorta. Anyway, a downturned expression usually signals disgust or disagreeableness or whatever. And the fact is the way his face presents itself to people, it doesn't help him. And then it turns out he's even more of a jerk than his face suggests, from all indications. What did I just see about him? He's running as this big evangelical, praise the Lord, hallelujah, all this kind of crapola. And he gives like nothing to charity. Less than 1%. He and his Goldman Sachs vice president wife. And then when asked about that, he says, well, we were trying to, ensure our financial stability. We have 2 daughters to get through, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, hey, buddy boy, that ain't going to wash. Because other people have children, and they tithe. Other people aren't Goldman Sachs vice presidents, don't make anywhere near that. And they tithe if they're evangelical. What a hypocritical jerk.
Whatever.
Caller, hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
This is Terry from Washington, PA.
Hi, Terry.
Got an article to tell you about.
Okay.
Kelly.
An article about what?
Kelly.
Telly?
The black guy that got the dog.
The black guy who got the dog. What am I not remembering here? Wilkinsburg. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, it was an article in the Washington paper last week. According to court paperwork, the police have had numerous run-ins with him.
Yes.
4 4 female juveniles told police a man, later identified as Kelly, gave coins, buried pictures of naked women to them while they were playing in an alley.
Right.
He also gave them playing cards with his name on them.
Right.
And he touched them on their chests and buttocks. He's been in jail numerous times.
Right. Yeah, I mean, no one would argue that this guy is an upstanding citizen. He's had a lot of, encounters with police. He has been jailed. Court records also suggest that he has mental health issues. He is also an alcoholic, and he's homeless. This is a sorry soul in every way. But I still maintain that the police mishandled this. There is no way he should have to be dead.
I agree, but there's been numerous times that he should have gotten help.
Well, that's the way our great system works. We take mentally ill people and we incarcerate them in jails where they not only don't get better, they get worse. So, and then I guess this poor soul, I mean, in every way, a poor soul, and now he's a dead poor soul. I suppose
Glad he should have taken better care of him.
Yeah, whatever. I hear you, though, and thank you for that information, which we had not reported.
Okay,
thank you. Bye-bye. Ray writes, Lynn, the email you read that used the Philly police as a voice of reason had me livid. Okay, has me livid. God, you guys, you got mouths on you like me. That email used the word asshole, and now here's Ray saying the fucking Philly police. I don't think of you, Ray, as swearing a lot. Yeah. I'm setting a very bad example on this program. The fucking Philly police are the ones that dropped grenades on families held up in squatters' buildings. Oh, I do remember that one. Oh, and those citizens were also black. But the whole country shows nearly infinite patience with disobedient citizens occupying federal land out west. Yeah. Oh, then they can think of other possibilities. But then again, those are white citizens. At least admit the truth about the police state for blacks versus whites. Obey is a word that should not come so easily to American lips. Ray, I was thinking the same thing about his argument. There's something in me as an American that really sort of digs in when I'm told, and if a police says this, you do it. I mean, yeah, if I'm in, East Germany and the Stasi are after me, I can see that. But, God, I thought, since when did this adversarial relationship between us and them, things have changed. Hello, caller. Oh, goodbye, caller. Okay. So much stuff here. They're back. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Hey, Lynn, I agree with you on that. These police need to show common sense. If you set a trend where that's how you deal with every problem, then that's how you're going to deal with it. They need to be better restrained. They had all those cops. They had tasers. They had, they could have shot him in the leg. You don't kill a man for that. I mean,
agree.
Come on.
I agree.
I agree with you 100%.
And I think I've lost it, darn it, but somebody sent me an email that said, maybe this is it. Why don't they have like tranquilizers that they can shoot into someone like they do with animals sometimes?
Oh, there's so many things they could do than kill someone.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
And now, if the guy was coming out with a knife, maybe I could agree. But they had so many men there. They had the power to overtake them.
Well, all you have to do is see that video with him, and then all of these cops, coming for him, including the dog. They all have guns. They all have tasers. He has a 4-inch blade knife, and they are threatened enough to kill him?
Yeah, I don't agree with
It doesn't pass a test of just humaneness nor common sense.
And then one other thing I wanted to say about the debate. Did you see Chris Christie? Now, I thought he really hit Rubio.
Oh, I mean, he just eviscerated him.
But did you hear him say that they raised the taxes on millionaires and they left the state? Now, there you go. That goes to show you what their policies will be. Give the tax cuts to the rich.
Of course.
I mean,
we know that. We know that.
That's all it's going to be.
That's all they do.
Same, like, watch that movie over and over again.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting because you're sort of mirroring Paul Krugman's column today, in which he talks about exactly that listening to the Republicans is like, being in a time warp, like Groundhog Day. Only in Groundhog Day, at least Bill Murray finally worked his way to, learning something. And the Republicans just don't.
No. And Bush talks the same way, so
none
of them are any good.
No, none of them.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Well, we took care of them. Short order. Russ also writes, he's saying about the tranquilizers, and then he says, I've also begun to think of using dogs, not just in the police, but in the military, as a form of animal abuse. Well, yeah, you can make a strong case for that. These animals have no choice in what they are doing. They are not heroes. That is a term we use to justify the use of the animal. They are trained to do this. If that dog knew this man would use the knife to kill him, would he have attacked? Animals live on survival mode. I could go on and on. We are shocked when an animal is abused by less than what this dog had to endure. Oh, yeah, and vote for Bernie. We always vote for the electable candidate, and look where it's gotten us. Bernie can be elected. We can do this. We have to do this. Russ. Thank you, Russ. Chris writing, just to clarify, little Peyton Manning is not a paid pitchman for Bud. Oh, but he owns a couple of distributors. Well, so I'm sure Budweiser was extremely happy. He just can't shut up about it, though. That's all he's talking about. Bud. Good riddance to football for a while. Thank God. Okay, so speaking of that Krugman column, I wonder if I can find it. Forgive me for not being as prepared as usual. It's been a strange morning. Do you mind if I actually read you some of this? Because I thought it was brilliant. Paul Krugman's The Time Loop Party. Okay, so he's talking about the Rubio Christie thing. And how even when Christie was making fun of him for parroting the exact same lines over and over again, his response was to do it one more time. It was the most unbelievable. I still can't believe it. And then, so he talks about Rubio repeating ad nauseum, robotically. And then he said, and also last week, on Groundhog Day, no less, Republicans in the House cast what everyone knew was a totally substance-free, idiotic, waste of time vote to repeal Obamacare for the 63rd time. And he said, Rubio's thing and that are related. Rubio's inability to do anything besides repeat canned talking points was startling, although worse, it was funny. And it reinforces the narrative that he's nothing but an empty suit. But really, isn't everyone in his party doing pretty much the same thing, if not quite so conspicuously? The truth is the whole GOP seems stuck in a time loop, saying and doing the same things over and over, and unlike Bill Murray's character in Groundhog Day, they show no sign of learning anything from the experience. And then he goes on to say what the caller was saying. Think about the doctrines every Republican politician now has to endorse. Has to, on pain of excommunication. First, there's the ritual denunciation of Obamacare. Because among all the things they really jump on it for is it kills jobs. It kills jobs. It kills jobs. And they keep saying that even though the country has gained almost 6 million private sector jobs since Obamacare was enacted. Went into full effect, actually. It kills jobs. We have 6 million new jobs in the private sector. Private sector, right over here. Then there's, the caller was on this, there's the assertion that taxing the rich has terrible effects on economic growth, and that tax cuts at the top can be counted on to produce an economic miracle. I mean, this doctrine was tested more than 2 decades ago when Bill Clinton raised excuse me. Excuse me. Raised taxes on high incomes. And the Republican Cassandras were out immediately. Hey, oh, God, he raised taxes. We're all going down now. You know what happened? The economy had its most productive and best run since the 1960s. Then George W. Bush cut taxes on the wealthy. And guys, we sort of remember what happened with George W. It wasn't that long ago. He cut taxes on the wealthy, and we spiraled down into what got close to looking like it was going to be a depression. And then it got tested a third time, this idea that if you tax the rich. And that's when Obama came in, and tax rates at the top went up substantially. And since then, we've gained 8 million private sector jobs. And yet these Republicans keep repeating this bullshit. Their position on foreign policy is pretty much nuke them, carpet bomb them, bring back torture. I mean, to listen to their debate is like mind-boggling. Waterboarding isn't bad enough. And never mind that we hung Japanese generals who used the same tactics that these Republicans are now saying we should use, Americans should use. We hung them for war crimes. Okay. So he says, so how did this happen to the GOP? I suspect it has a lot to do with Fox News, the way Republican primary voters live in a media bubble into which awkward facts cannot penetrate. But there must be deeper causes behind the creation of that bubble. Whatever the ultimate reason, Krugman writes. However, the point is that while Rubio did indeed make a fool of himself on Saturday night, he wasn't the only person on that stage spouting canned talking points that are divorced from reality. They all were, even if the candidates managed to avoid repeating themselves word for word like Marco did. Word for word like Marco did. Word for word like Marco did. Unbelievable. Oh. Yeah, if you want somebody to destroy somebody, I think Chris Christie is the guy to call. That was. And it was done with this. You got to see it. If you didn't see it, you got to see it. We have not talked about women in the draft. I don't think I want to yet either. But I have for decades said that women should be included. It should have to register with Secret Service, with Selective Service. I mean, absolutely. And now that they've been cleared pretty much for combat duty, there's no reason why we only turn to our sons to do that. Obviously, everybody should be registered. And the fact of the matter is, this country ain't going to draft anybody ever again, I don't think. We've decided we like mercenary armies and volunteer armies. So I saw something in the Wall Street Journal editorial page that blew my mind. The first two letters to the editor were something you just don't see in the Wall Street Journal. Because they were talking about socialism and why Bernie Sanders has a shot. Let me just read one thing that one of the guys who wrote it is a psychiatrist at a university. So a student health shrink. Oh, it's a woman. And she says this. Many students struggle to meet their tuition and housing expenses. And since the George W. Great Recession, parents are less able to offer financial assistance. I have seen students go without food to pay for books. Our college now has a pantry where students in need can obtain food free of charge. Students are burdened by fears. Will I be able to do well enough in school to keep my financial aid and scholarship? Will I be able to earn enough in the future to pay off my loans? Financial concerns rate second only to academics as a major stressor for college students. 1/3 of all students report finances being traumatic or very difficult. Financial health is intimately tied to mental health. And the next president, Republican or Democrat, should make promoting financial health for millennials a priority. And this woman was writing about why students are gravitating to Bernie Sanders, because he's talking directly to them and saying what you are enduring, what you are going through is despicable in a country this rich. And then a guy named Gary Johnson writes this to the Wall Street Journal. Take a trip to Sweden, Norway, Denmark, or Finland. You'll see affluent, well-educated, healthy, and positive people. The Scandinavian model provides great upward mobility and lower stress. People don't worry about affording health care and higher education. Those costs are built into the tax structure. Federally paid family leave policies make it easier to afford children and spend time with them. Sweden, for example, provides its people with these benefits and keeps its national debt per person at half the U.S. rate. What? Sweden gives all its people all this wonderful stuff. They don't have to worry, where am I going to pay for that? How am I going to do the kids? Free daycare, free this, free college, free. And yet they don't have the debt. They don't even have half the debt that each and every one of us carry, because our government spends its money on, I don't know, bombs and corporate welfare. And then this letter writer says, and Sweden's students are ranked higher than American, and healthcare scores hugely better than in America. Scandinavians take a long view and are concerned about the common good. And that's what Bernie Sanders admires when he talks about that model. That's what I admire, too. Oh, but we're exceptional and we know better. So I was watching Bill Maher this weekend, and Gloria Steinum was on. And she said the most jaw-dropping thing. Gloria Steinum. I mean, she's for Hillary. Fine. But then Maher asked her, so why are all the kids, why are all these young women, they're not flocking to Hillary at all. They like the old white Bernie guy. They're not voting for Hillary just because she'll be the first woman president. That doesn't resonate with them as much as what Bernie is saying. And do you know what Gloria Steinum, feminist icon, said? Trying to explain to Maher why women tended to become... She said that young women were behind Sanders because young men were. And she went on to say this. This is what Gloria Steinum said. Quote, when you're young, you're thinking, where are the boys? The boys are with Bernie. And Maher said, whoa, hey, if I said that, you would have slugged me. Oh, Steinum. This show, there's something going on, and apparently Madeleine Albright came out and said there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other, in other words, who don't vote for Hillary. What you have here are women who lived through, the pre-feminist era and then were front and center breaking down barriers and doors. And they're looking behind them and they're seeing young women not engaged at all in a campaign for the first woman president. And they can't believe what they're seeing. They can't believe it. Apparently there was such a storm about what Steinum said that she did issue a retraction. And here's what she said. In a case of talk show interruptus, I misspoke on the Bill Maher show recently and apologized for what's been misinterpreted as implying young women aren't serious in their politics. Whether they gravitate to Bernie or Hillary, young women are activist and feminist in greater numbers than ever before. Yeah, but Gloria, you did say what you said. You did. I saw it. I was stunned. Poll of Democratic voters in New Hampshire shows women under the age of 45 support Bernie Sanders. Wow. 64%. Women under 45. So only a third are going to Hillary. Women over 45 are backing Hillary, but not by those kinds of, by 9 percentage points. I don't know. Is it what? What? Yeah, but I'm gonna keep. I know I can keep going. Here's some other numbers that should give some of you Bernie devotees some pause. 48% of Americans have an unfavorable view of socialism. So, I mean, don't discount that. 48%, that's a big, big number that might not even be able to get out of the, can't even get past the, he's a socialist. Those aged 18 to 29, however, 43% view socialism favorably. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you this much. I'm going to wrestle with this for a long, long time. And I promise, no matter where I come down, I am not going to disrespect anybody for where if they vote for Hillary, if they vote for Bernie. I'm not. And I don't know which way I'm going to go. I mean, if push comes to shove, if the doable, I mean, it's tough. And I was sent an article that was in These Times, I believe is what it's from, In These Times. Now, let's be clear, In These Times is a very left publication. But they're making the case. They're saying all these liberal columnists are going insane, saying, my God, what are we doing? He can't win. You gotta, blah, blah, blah. And this guy is writing a rebuttal to that. I'm going to, again, he said the case against voting for Sanders is really generally an argument against voting for the guy who represents what you believe. As I was saying last week, everything he says, it sounds like he's doing my talk show. It's what I've said for decades and decades. And then I wouldn't vote for him? Yeah, because the fear of electability. But some people who are sticking with Bernie say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is the time when the Democrats, the people in the Democratic Party, can pull it back from the corporatists who've overtaken it. I mean, Democrats, here's a chance to actually take a stand against the corruption of corporate power in our politics. I'll read. Citizens are not managers of democracy. They don't need to concern themselves with political strategy and concepts like electability. To the extent that voting actually matters, a citizen's job should be to vote their conscience. Well, okay. Now, I've argued against, I savaged Nader voters in the past. Because I said, thanks a lot, you gave Florida to the Republicans. Isn't it nice that you voted your conscience? Your conscience is clear. And now we got George W. effing Bush for 8 years. I savaged him, and I'm still mad at him. But here I am saying I'm not going to do the same again if you vote for Bernie and we go down as a result. I'm going to read this guy's last paragraph. Kevin Gostola. I don't know. It is one thing to vote for Hillary Clinton and other Democrats who are more than happy to serve the moneyed elite, if you actually believe in what she stands for as a presidential candidate. But it is quite another thing to delude people into voting for her simply because it is your view that Bernie Sanders' vision is difficult to make into reality. That position accepts the status quo and embraces a politics of low expectations, where the best elected officials can do is triage the effect of wealth and power being more and more concentrated in the hands of a few. We're going to wrestle with this. This ain't going away. We're going to wrestle with this. I know I am. And I came upon a quote that I think, it's by Edward R. Murrow, that great journalist. And he said this: a nation of sheep will beget a government of wolves. There it is. A nation of sheep will beget a government of wolves. And that's where we are now. We've gone along. We've capitulated and capitulated. We've been pulled so far off where we started that Richard Nixon now looks like a liberal. I mean, I'm not kidding you guys. We've been pulled so far to the right in this country. So far to the right that the Democrats are a corporatized power party as well. As if that's the only thing that is available to us now. That's it. We've mucked it up. We were sheep, and now there's nothing but wolves running it. And Bernie Sanders dares to say, I'm not a sheep. You don't have to be sheep. Let's start standing up. It's very attractive. And it's very scary. Because I don't know that the people who are screaming about how unelectable he is, I don't know that they're wrong. I don't know. Okay, so that's all from me for today. I'll be here tomorrow, I think. Yeah. And then, as I said, I'm taking a week off, so I won't be back until the following Thursday, I suppose. Yeah. Unless I'm so jet-lagged, I don't know where I am. So I see today that Barack Obama's heading out to Palm Springs. That's where I'm going. Actually, to Rancho Mirage. That's where I'm going. I know exactly where he's going. It's very close to where I would be. But he's on the other side of the wall. And it's a big wall. Okay. That's it. And thank you very much for hanging with me here on a sort of messed up Monday. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.